Julie, come out. Did I say Julia? Julie. Here comes Julie. Good. And Mina. Watch your steps. Yes.
Take pictures. Everyone, I would like to come on over here. Yes. Okay. Fellow Rotarians, as many of you know, when Don passed, we started a fund to give out grants to up and coming musicians who wanted to do something special with their music. And we ended up giving away 3 grants this year. I had the Annises and Dennis, Claire, and Tom Fox and Sue Fox came to one of the presentations on St. Patrick's Day, but Mina at the time was in Taiwan. So we decided, let's bring her to the club and let you see what she does and learn a little bit more about what her journey is. So we're going to roll the video first so that you can see what Mina is doing with her music. Mina, do you want to tell them what they'll be hearing?
I'm going to play the Chopin Etude in A minor, also known as Winter Wind.
Can you keep your chopsticks?
Yes, wow. So I want to introduce you to Mina Fu and her father, Vincent Fu, is right over here. And Mina, we're going to just tell the folks a little bit about you because you know what? Mina plays the piano, but she's on a mission. She, like Dawn, feels that music is bigger than just music. It's music as a vehicle to do good things in this world. So let's start with finding out about how you learned piano and when you started.
So I originally started when I was 5 years old, and my mom is my piano teacher, and she's been teaching me since that age. And I was first inspired by her because I realized that I really liked to play piano on stage and I love performing. And so since I was 9 years old, I've been holding annual piano recitals. And I realized, especially my last annual piano recital from last year, it was especially meaningful to me because I turned it into a charity concert for a nonprofit organization, Music for Minors 2, where I've been volunteering to teach music in elementary schools. And it made me realize that it's not just the music that I'm so passionate about, but also that I get to share it with the children that I teach. And so the organization's mission is to nurture the love and passion of music in children. And in accepting this generous grant, I can benefit and use it in my work in this organization to help more children be inspired by music and learn to love music. And that is what makes my journey as a pianist much more meaningful.
Okay, this is an exceptional young woman. You know, we have so many diamonds in this town, and you are one of the shiniest. I want to present you with a check for $500, a grant for your work that you're doing in music education. And it's the first year that we're doing the Don Lewis Say Yes to Music grants. This just fell out, but this also is a certificate for you. And it reads, the Rotary Club of Pleasanton, the Don Lewis Say Yes to Music grant for $500 awarded to Mina Fu, March 17th, 2024, for advancement of music activities, including studies, performance, and teaching. Congratulations. Thank you so much for all you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie, and congratulations, Mina. And it's wonderful having your dad here because it takes a family to make someone as special as you. So great job, Dad and Mom. Yeah. All right, moving along. Let's introduce our Zoomers. I think we got two here. You guys want to say hi, Richard and Jake? We can't hear you. I guess he's going to unmute you.
Good afternoon. How are you? Fighting a head and chest cold today.
Okay.
So I didn't want to
All
get
right.
you guys
I hope
sick.
you feel better. Yeah.
All right.
Hello, President Steve and Rotarians, and I must have got that cold from you, Richard.
Maybe.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. Next, we want to invite Gary Harrington up. He's going to inspire us once again, back-to-back inspirations, Gary. You got a lot to make up for, outdo last time. So here you go.
Okay, today, many of you probably haven't thought ahead, but Monday is April the 1st. And please don't confuse it with April the 15th. April the 1st is April Fool's Day, the day that people try to fool friends and relatives. April the 15th is when people try to fool the IRS. And that's by Jane Leno. Okay. This is the one I love. If this fits you, smile. The man who says his wife can't take a joke forgets that she took him. The trouble with that was by Oscar Wilder, pardon me. The trouble with practical jokes is that very so often they get elected. And that was by Will Rogers. When is the best day to propose to a woman? The 1st of April. You know why? If she accepts your offer, you're lucky. Otherwise, just tell her, April Fools. Okay. Why is everyone so tired on April the 1st? Because they just finished a long 31-day march. I thought you'd like that one.
Best for last.
Okay, no, that's not the best. Okay, now, originally I wanted to go up and I'm curious. How did April Fool's Day start? And well, I was able to find it. April Fool's is named April Fool's Day after Steve April. He was born on April 1st, 1579. He had 35 businesses in his life. He lost all of his father's assets, and so everyone started calling him King of the Fools. At 19, Steve married a 61-year-old woman who divorced him after a year because of his foolishness. He used to read and tell all kinds of fake stories like I am doing right now. Have a very happy April Fool's Day.
Thanks, Gary. Good job. Okay, next we're going to invite Anshu up, and she's going to introduce our student of the quarter from Village High School. So come on up, Anshu. And did you want to invite your guests? You'll invite them up?
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Today we have a student of the quarter from Village High, McKenna Alexander. And we are going to, on behalf of our club, we are going to give her a certificate and a $100 check. So today, because of the 15 minutes program, an admin or a staff member from the school was not able to come. So, so would you... no, would you like to say a few words? Or yeah, right.
That's the last time she volunteers to come.
No, Principal Heather Pereira had sent me a few words saying that nobody would be able to join. So
they came to me today and said, "What are you doing for lunch?" And I said, "I'm going with McKenna." So this is great. McKenna is a wonderful student, and I've gotten to know her these past couple of years. And she's just a bright star. But this is from our administrators. We would like to share with you just how remarkable McKenna is. In every sense of the word, she embodies brightness, kindness, and intelligence. McKenna's dedication to her studies and her genuine care for others are truly admirable. She consistently works hard, not just for herself, but to uplift those around her, whether it's in the classroom, within the school community. McKenna's earnest contributions have enriched our school environment. Her commitment to Village High School and her positive attitude make her a joy to be around. We're genuinely excited to see her graduate in May and eager to watch where her journey takes her. We have no doubt that she will achieve remarkable success in whatever she sets her mind to do. Good job, McKenna.
Great. Thank you, Anshu. Thank you, Anshu, and the Youth Services Committee for pulling that together. Next, I was going to invite Richard. We could sit up for him a couple minutes. He's got a quick announcement about our next community service project. So give it up for Richard.
Thank you. So Jake, where's Joe? Jake disappeared, but Jake's been sending out emails about the upcoming community service opportunities. And so I thought I'd just come here in person and pressure you, excuse me, update you on what's going on. So Ricky's working on the website there. And so the very top, I'm going to make this easy for everybody, okay? At the very top, we've posted this new message here. And Ricky, if you can click on that, I just want to, instead of sending out emails and maybe people don't get them, I just want to get everybody excited about the next opportunity in May, which is Rotary Gives Thanks, which is a day that we go out as Rotarians and we help seniors and other needy families throughout the Tri-Valley area with different chores they might need outdoors. And so this is a photo collage from, I think, 2021. And so up here, I have someone I recognize, Lee. Can you say a few words, Lee, about your experience in 2021?
I would never do that. Rotary Gives Thanks is really a fantastic opportunity for us to give back to the community. And when you see me on the ladder there, yeah, I was younger, and my son forbids me to get on a ladder now, so don't ask me to do it this year. This house that we were at was sort of one of the unusual houses. This lady, she was a hoarder, and we had to cut her shrubbery, and we had to cut her shrubbery, and we had to clean her gutters, and we had to do, she had 3 walkers. And when I was talking to her, she said that she used to sail, and I found out that she's younger than I am, and I was up on the ladder. Anyway, one of the things that's really interesting about this event, Rotary Gives Thanks, is a lot of these people, the thing they want most is to talk to somebody. And Pete McDonald, he usually takes on the role of the conversationalist because he doesn't want to flip mattresses and clean. That's succinct, yes, doing work. But it's a wonderful time for us to give back to the community and to these senior citizens that really are lonely. And if you participate, which I hope you all will, be sure to engage with them because they appreciate that as much as cleaning their windows, changing the batteries in their smoke detectors, and flipping their mattresses, and cleaning their refrigerator and various other things that they ask you to do.
All right. So there you go. Direct from someone who's participated. So Ricky, if you can scroll down a little, there's a sign up form here. I know that sometimes we ask you to email us, but I'm trying just to make this easy and succinct. So if you just go to the homepage of the website, click on that link, you'll get right to here. Please sign up for this. What we're going to do is meet over on the Senior Center here in Pleasanton, Saturday morning, May 11th. We'll organize teams of 3 to 5 people. Jake said he thought we could get 15. We are working with CityServe of Tri-Valley, if anyone's heard of that organization. I challenged Jake that we could get 25. So please don't make me look bad. I want 25 people. I think today we have maybe 5 or 6 people signed up. Oh, thank you, Ricky. There's a good one. I saw you on the list. So yeah. And the best thing about this is I'm bringing donuts. Okay. And I'm from Livermore, so I will be bringing Donut Wheel donuts. Sounds like some people are familiar with that. If you get there early, you can get donut holes. Okay, those are prized. So anyway, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Great. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate it. Great work.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. We have, with Ricky,
Let's see. I wanted to introduce a guest of ours that's here today, Kelly Cousins. Kelly is going to come up and give us a very brief description of this event that she's working on. And so please welcome Kelly Cousins.
Thank you, everyone. It's good to see you again. I was just here a few weeks ago. It was, yeah. So I just think we were so lucky to have Say Yes to Music in our recent event, the Youth Excellence in Arts Awards. We saw some amazing students, including many we saw today. So that was a great collaboration. If you'd like to see the program we've had for the event, I have one of those. It shows the winners and a little bit about the Rotary Say Yes to Music Award. But we couldn't do these type of programs without the support of our community and members who have supported Pleasanton Cultural Arts Council, which I'm a president, for over 44 years. And we are lucky to have such a generous community. And we are going to take you on a trip to Paris without leaving Pleasanton on April 13th. It's going to be at the Veterans Hall, and it's starting at 7 o'clock. We have French food by On the Vine Catering. We have an accordion player playing French tunes as you walk in. As you might see from the poster, the Cool Tones Big Band will be performing for your dancing and listening pleasure. We also will have an immersive street scene of Parisian vendors, so you can get your souvenirs. We have artists working throughout the evening and French theme kind of activities. So I have some flyers that I have put out. We also have an opportunity for anybody who wants to sponsor the event. We have benefits associated with the different levels. If you would like to do that and get some more participation, and you get your name and lights and on the program. So please contact me or look at your flyer, and we'd love to see you. The tickets are selling fast, so get them on. We have a QR code for getting the tickets, and we appreciate the time. Okay.
You're welcome, Kelly. Thank you so much. Nothing better than going to Paris and staying in Pleasanton. You can't beat that. So next, Ricky's going to give us a brief update on the poker tournament. He's got some really exciting news to share, I think. Ricky, right? Yeah, all right. You're trying to, oh yeah, look at that. Wow.
So very exciting. We are live on the web where you can sign up for the poker event. If you are a sponsor or have already committed to be a sponsor in any way, whether it's the gift baskets or you're a table sponsor or whatever, would you raise your hand just so we can recognize you? Look at all that. Give those people a big round of applause, please. Fantastic. Last year, we raised right around 22,000, I want to say, from the poker event that went to the foundation that we, as you know, give away in all these wonderful grants and scholarships and wheelchairs and other projects. So our goal this year, first of all, we've already gotten over $20,000 in pledged sponsorships, which is amazing. You should give a round of applause for that. So we're kind of raising the goal to 25 to 30,000 this year. What we're hoping to come away with to give to the foundation. So that's a pretty awesome thing. Just wanted to say it's going great. If you want to join us and you want to learn how to play poker first of all, it's 4 weeks from tomorrow. It's April 26th. I don't know if that's up there. Yep, April 26th, Friday. It's going to be at the Veterans Hall. And we would love for you to come. Even if you don't play poker, come have dinner with us. Come for the silent auction and the raffle items. And we would love to also, we need some service, club service volunteers to do the different things we do for the poker event. So if you don't have plans that evening, we'd love to have you come in some capacity, play or serve, volunteer, and we would greatly appreciate it. So one last There's not enough of these on every table, but they're on about half the tables. A friend of mine who's in the Rotary Club of Tracy asked me if I'd make a quick announcement. They're having a Cajun Fest, seafood and clams and crab and all that kind of stuff. And it's a week from tomorrow, and it's in Mountain House. So if you're interested in that and you like seafood, let me know. I'll give you a flyer. Thank you very much, because I know Steve's eager to move on.
Thank you, Ricky. Great job, poker tournament committee. Woo! $30,000. You heard it here. That's what we're gonna. Well, I heard you were gonna do it. So that's great. Fantastic. I don't think I had a chance to introduce any guests here today that haven't already been introduced. Mr. Hurst.
President Steve, fellow Rotarians, I have a guest returning for a second time, Gabe Rodriguez. Gabe has a law enforcement background and he's a candidate for the BART Board of Directors.
Welcome back, Gabe. And Gary, I know you got a few.
Do I really need this? I have two of my best guests today, my son Evan and my son Anton.
I like the way you did that. You didn't prioritize one over the other. Well done, Dad. Who's going to introduce our visiting Rotarian? Oh, Jim.
Yeah, yes, I won. It's indeed my very special pleasure to introduce someone who's soon to be in the Guinness World Record as attending more Rotary meetings than anybody alive. We just figured it out. It's approaching 8,000. Okay. So from,
that's a lot of luggage.
yeah, okay, it's a lot of luggage. So from the Rotary Club of Dublin, with the classification of electrical contractor, we have, give me Bob Tucknott.
There you go, Bill.
President Steve, fellow Rotarians and guests, I'd like to introduce Joyce Bringhurst to you. Joyce is a realtor in Pleasanton, and she's interested in joining our club. And her kids were part of Interact.
Welcome, Joyce. All right. We got one more over here. All right. Awesome. Coming around. There you go, Bill.
I'm very pleased to introduce my friend and a friend of several in the hall, I understand, because he met so many people that he knew, Cove Corey. Cove has been in Mexico and moving back into the area, into the real estate industry. So please welcome Cove, who is interested in becoming a member of our club.
All right. You know, Bill, you don't waste any time. He's already filled out an application. I love it. Welcome, Cove. Good to see you. All right, moving along here. We're just doing great with all these great announcements. So next, what we've all come here for is to hear Brad Hurst. No, he's going to introduce the speaker today. So give it up for Brad Hurst, who's doing a great job with our programs. It's all yours, Brad.
Thank you. Yes, Steve Baker had some comments about me today that I won't repeat. Unfortunately, they were accurate. Our guest speaker today is Pete Sandhu, who's the fixed base operator at the Livermore Airport. He's been there since 2016. He's the owner and operator of Five Rivers Aviation. He's also Bob Tucknott's boss on the Sheriff's Air Traffic Squadron. He's been the squadron commander since 2012. He's participated in and hosted a number of community service events at Five Rivers Aviation, including Realtor Backpack, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. And I first met Pete as a guest of Fremont Bank at Five Rivers Aviation. Please welcome Pete Sandhu.
Thank you. And I want to say that I love coming to these events. I love talking about the airport. Everybody seems that, everywhere you go, everyone has an opinion on the airport. I wanted to make sure that you have an informed opinion on the airport. And the more I talk about what happens at the airport, it dispels many of the preconceived notions that typically are negative. So any chance I get to speak, I'm happy to speak. If you guys have any other organizations that you wanted me to speak at,
Absolutely. I don't care if it's the Little League group or whatever. I'll speak there. So I have a bunch of slides and I limited amount of time. So I'm going to talk really fast and I'm going to ask Ricky to be speed finger on the slides. But I'm happy to answer questions and elaborate on the things that make that you want to know more about. All right, let's go. I started learning how to fly. All right, next slide. This is my first flying lesson. There's me. I was born and raised in New York, and somehow or another, my aunt found this picture, and this is actually here in California at Reed Hillview Airport. So this is 1969 in Reed Hillview. Next slide. And there's what Reed Hillview looked like back then, but pretty neat. I thought I just discovered that, so I thought I'd add it to the deck. So let's move on. This is where usually the conversation starts, right? You know, people kind of equate living near an airport like living next to a freight train. And they're like, why should I care? Right? Go ahead. Why? Of course, airplanes are noisy. Freight trains are noisy. These are bad. They pollute. They're dirty. They use leaded gasoline, all of these bad things. And you know what? I get it that in the event of a disaster, being near an airport is great, but only if the airport could keep the lights on, right? So right now, that's an issue that all these California airports realize that they have no resiliency plans. Being on the Sheriff's Air Squadron, Bob and I are always focused on how to serve our community in times of disaster. One of the things that you may or may not know, you know, Alameda, like Los Angeles County, you know, are two of the biggest counties in California, and they have more resources than most other smaller counties. So when counties in Northern California run into issues, they call us and they ask for support. So the Air Squadron flies all over Northern California, helping these other counties. We've been to Paradise and Sonoma and Redding and Oroville and all of these places when they're suffering from major events, and even medium-sized events, just because we have the resources. So we'll hustle out there. We'll bring the right people out there. We'll figure out what other resources we need, and we'll go back and forth often. And so airports are vital for access. I mean, 580 breaks when it rains too hard. If there's an earthquake on a rainy day, we're stuck with whatever resources we already have in the valley. One of the issues that many of the first responders have discovered, I checked with the HR and the sheriff's office, is that more than half of the deputies live on the other side of that. And so if there's an earthquake at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday evening, whatever deputies happen to be on this side of the hill, we're counting on them until they fall down from exhaustion. So we're working on exercises to help go fly over the hill and shuttle all these deputies, police officers, firefighters, paramedics, all of these first responders from all these other airports that are on the other side of the hill in the event that 580 is more of a parking lot than it already is. Go ahead. And everyone has this idea that it's like a bunch of rich guys and their toys, right? So I want to talk a little bit about some of the other things that go on in the airport. And here's what we get often. It's like, I wish it was like what it was like 30 years ago. You know, I didn't mind it when it was like a small community airport and it's grown. And it turns out it hasn't grown, right? This picture was taken like, I think 20 years ago. Yeah, it's Ken Behring's plane. It says KEB at the top. And he had like, not only did he park an MD-80 at our airport, but he put Seattle Seahawks logos on it. So like, couldn't be any worse than that. In fact, we still call that parking spot the MD-80 ramp, right? Like nothing's been built there since then. And everybody at the airport just commonly refers to it as the MD-80 ramp. So, 30 years ago, we were at 282,631 operations. That's a takeoff or a landing. Recently, we don't have the 2023 numbers yet, but we're under 200,000. And so it's not as busy as it was 30 years ago. Next slide. And you're like, oh, wait, I didn't mean 30 years ago. I meant like 50 years ago or 55 years ago. Well, here are the numbers from back then, right? From 1966 to 1972, most of these numbers are in the mid 200s, right? They're all busier than it is today. So if you want to see the airport like it was 30, 40, 50 years ago, learn how to fly and start flying, doing some pattern work so we could bring those numbers up to what it used to be. Go ahead. Here's what really happens at the airport, right? Some of the things, right? The employers are attracted to the Tri-Valley for the airport. There's a reason that the California and the northern half of Nevada for Costco is managed from the Costco right across the street from the airport. That Airway Boulevard Costco, that on Independence Drive rather, manages all the Costcos in California and half of the Costcos in Nevada. You can't do that from any location that's not next to an airport. There's not a lot of ways to get to Elko, Nevada, or one day be up in Redding, the next day be down in Redlands or Chino and Chico and whatever. This is a big state, right? The Costco jet typically comes from Seattle like once a week or so. And there's smaller planes that the local management uses to visit all the other Costcos in the region, right? If you want a Costco here in Pleasanton, it's going to cause more traffic, both on the ground and in the air. You got to imagine that people from Seattle are going to be coming to visit for that. Likewise, Workday, Ross, Snowflake, Albertson, Safeway, we shuttle, Albertson's shuttle goes back and forth between Boise and Livermore at least once a week, probably twice a week. Dollar Tree's another popular one. If Kroger's and Albertsons merge, I'm sure you're going to be seeing them go back and forth between Ohio and Livermore. And so Gillig, we're also proud of Gillig and them moving to the Tri-Valley. Where did they move from? They moved from next to the Hayward Airport to next to the Livermore Airport. They provide 70% of the buses market share for all the municipal buses in North America. They need to be able to get to those markets. They need some of those markets to be able to get to them, right? Even GE out in San Ramon mentioned Livermore Airport as one of the reasons they picked Bishop Ranch. So we love our major employers. We love what they do for our economy. They need access to an airport. They use it all the time. And the other preconceived notion is like, oh, it's the CEOs are just flying around like highfalutin and champagne and caviar again. No, if you look at who comes off of any of these planes, it's a bunch of mid-level managers, and 10 or 12 people come off, and at least 1 or 2 are taking selfies like, I just got to fly in the Costco jet, right? So it's the guys that are like actually feet on the ground working hard. You talk to the pilots and they say, yeah, they're very appreciative of how we can get them to all these different places. But they work so hard that when they're back on the when they're back on the plane, they're pretty much zombies. They're knocked out, right? And so especially the guys like Williams Sonoma, for example, and they fly all over the world, and they're going to China and Vietnam and India and all of these places where they have vendors, and the flight crews loves traveling all over the world, and they're staying in a hotel. But all the people that are on the back of the plane, they're working like their tail off. They're trying to hit 2, 3, 4 cities in that trip, and they're exhausted, right? Next slide. Yeah, here are things that people say, oh, I wish we could close the airport or turn it off at night and prevent anything that happened on it. And what you got to realize is the airport is no different than 680. You could say all these same things about 680. 680 is noisy and it pollutes, and hey, I don't use it, so let's close it, right? And oh yeah, some guy is, you can't say like, oh, the champagne and caviar example is like, well, it's okay for someone who has to commute or ambulances, but we shouldn't let people towing a boat drive on 680, right? They're just goofing around, right? So it's the same thing. It's a highway, right? And so you need access to it. The other thing about night is that most of the flights we get at night are organ transplants. So in San Ramon is the Northern California Region Organ Transplant Logistics Center. I forget what their name is or whatever, but they manage about 40% of the organ transplants in California. Those flights typically come in at 10 or 11 at night, and they leave at 2 or 3 in the morning.
It's a mad rush when they come in, and it's a mad rush when they're leaving, and then it's a lot of the crew just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, watching TV, waiting for their cell phones to ring again. The crew that they bring in is either coming in with a full ice chest or leaving with a full ice chest. All of that stuff has to be timed perfectly. The patients that are both the donors and the recipients are on the operating tables simultaneously in different cities. So it's a real complicated dance, and there's no other way to do it because the shelf life of those organs is just mere hours, right? The other thing to remember is, the FAA funds a lot of things at airports, and clearly the FAA's interest is that these funding is going to go towards aviation purposes, right? They don't want to fund something that's going to be a shopping mall. So at the end of the day, they have what's called grant obligations. And if they're paying for things like lights or pavements or buildings or things like that, those grant obligations are 20 years. They pay for things that are real estate or things are deeded into the real estate of the airport, then those things are in perpetuity. And in Livermore, that's the case. This airport was deeded to the city of Livermore by, I think, the Navy Department. And because of that, because it was this federal grant to the municipality, it's deeded to always be an airport. And so one of those grant obligations is like, hey, everything on the airport has to be airport related, aviation related. The ancillary things could go as far as maybe rental cars or restaurants, but that's about it. Open space is not considered an aviation use, right? So you can't say we don't want to develop anything. The issue is that if the FAA thinks that you're not allowing valid aviation developments to occur, they'll step in. So much like you hear often about builder's recourse when cities are trying to prevent some kind of new development from happening, and then they invoke builder's resource, and the state just comes in and says, we're overruling you. You're going to build this housing, and it doesn't have to meet any of your zoning laws. You just lost all local control. The FAA has a version of that, and it's much more impactful. So one of the things you got to remember is if you dissuade developer number 1, 2, 3, and 4 from doing something, and then developer number 5 says, hey, FAA, these 4 other guys have failed to develop an aviation use at the airport, and now they're giving me the same issue. The FAA could just say, we're pushing through number 5. And then, the community might say like, oh crap, number 2 was way better than this, right? So you don't want to be stuck with something and like what's behind curtain number 5, right? You might end up with the donkey. Next slide. So what can we do, right? One of the ideas is, actually, you could skip ahead to the map. I'll go through the map. One of the ideas is let's use up all the space for things that we do want to see. And then we kind of elbow out the things that we don't want to see, right? They're all aviation uses. Find the aviation uses that people want to see, right? And so actually, let's go back one slide, and I'll talk about each of these things. So Las Positas College, that's a really exciting one. They want to build an A&P, Airframe and Power Plant Mechanics course, Aviation Maintenance Technology program. Very exciting, huge demand, high-paying jobs. Kids who grew up in the community can afford to live in the community with jobs like that. The great thing about it from the community's perspective, hey, it doesn't make any noise. It doesn't even fly. They're working on stuff that are on benches, but needs to be at the airport. So that's fantastic. We're introducing unleaded aviation fuels, battery electric and hydrogen electric fueling stations. We've been talking, this has been getting a lot of momentum recently. I spoke Tuesday at a hydrogen conference, and then the previous Tuesday at a hydrogen conference that Brad was at. And so the idea is that these electric motors are getting more and more powerful. So aviation manufacturers now, aircraft manufacturers, are putting electric motors in aircraft, and the smaller ones are battery electric.
Those can carry about 5 people, a pilot and 4 passengers or so. They go really fast. They take off and land vertically. They're called eVTOLs, or electric vertical takeoff and landing. So they could take off vertically. They could zip horizontally at like 200 miles an hour and then land vertically. So they're mostly for shuttles, right? We have several of those companies that want to establish, operations, either R&D or like regular passenger operations at Livermore, right? So Brian could paint a bunch of Archer aviation drones black and shuttle people like a limousine straight to SFO in like 12 minutes or less. Genentech, Facebook, Google, all those buses can just be zipping back and forth instead of being on the freeway. There's no noise, no pollution, right? No pollution if your electricity charging the batteries is renewable, and we're going to get to that. So the noise-wise, NASA did a study with one of the manufacturers, with Joby, and at the altitudes they fly at is about 1,500 feet. They're flying along, and the noise footprint was equivalent to a normal volume conversation from 300 feet away. So two people are having a conversation in the opposite end zone of the football field. You're not going to know that they're there unless you're looking straight at them. So now you've solved the 2 biggest issues that people normally have with being near an airport. And not only that, but you've created a new capability at the airport. You're introducing aviation to people that normally don't have a use for a non-major airport. And then hydrogen allows you to put that same technology on larger aircraft. So now we're talking about like Dorniers and Q400s and what used to be used very commonly for regional aircraft like Alaska Airlines and SkyWest, these big turboprop aircraft. So ZeroAvia is a company that is now in Livermore, has been hiring in the last few months, been building up a workforce here in Livermore for R&D, and they're working with the labs. Oh, did I just turn that off? They're working with the labs and developing aircraft that convert turboprop aircraft to electric aircraft. And instead of batteries, which would be too heavy for those larger engines, they're using hydrogen and hydrogen fuel cells. So the hydrogen gets converted back into electricity and powers these larger electric motors, so they could take planes that are like 80 to 90 passengers and go 1,500 miles. Same altitudes, same airspeeds, carrying the same weight. So equivalent or better performance than the fossil fuel aircraft, but now converted where they're silent and non-polluting, right? Again, how do you make the hydrogen? If it's from renewable sources, there's zero pollution and zero noise. Now they're hearing what the propellers sound like. They never actually heard the propellers before. It's kind of like hearing the tires on a Tesla. So they're now looking at like how can we make those even quieter? So are talking about renewables, where do we get the electrons from, and where do we get the hydrogen from? So what we're looking at is saturating all the nooks and crannies that we're not developing at the airport with solar panels. There's like over 100 acres that we could use currently, and then look at neighboring properties to augment that. That will provide more than adequate power to charge all of the aircraft that come in. Basically, what you do is you take all that solar energy, you put it into local batteries, you use those batteries to shove electrons as fast as you can, up to like 450, 500 kilowatts at like super duper ooper chargers into these aircraft so that they can top off in between flights, right? They have a range of about 150, 200 miles, but they are meant to do like 40-mile round trips, like 20, 30 times a day. So they start in the morning fully topped off. And after each flight, it drops a little and they charge it, for 15 minutes or so when it's down on the ground and they're exchanging passengers, not all the way to the top, but enough to keep it running all day long. And then by the end of the day, they just slow charge it overnight again so that they can run it another time. So that is 100% clean energy. And then we're using that same energy to split water to make the hydrogen. So electrolysis units, we're going to use wastewater from the Livermore wastewater treatment plant, which is on the airport, and then split that into hydrogen and oxygen, vent the oxygen into the air or into my office. And then we take the hydrogen and compress it or maybe even liquefy it and insert that into the aircraft as a storage of energy. And while that aircraft is flying, it reconverts that hydrogen with oxygen from the atmosphere into water, releases those electrons to run those motors. So again, 100% clean. So if we look at the map, here's where the current operations are. This long building here is where we're looking at building the Las Positas College training center, and that's way bigger than what's required for that training program. And the intent there is that 1 out of the 6 tenant spaces will be occupied by the college, and all the other ones will flank the college with other training and maintenance departments. So the flight schools that currently operate at the airport are going to move from their current locations to be next to the community college, mostly because they want access to all the students. So they provide internships and apprenticeships while those students are in school. And on top of that, they get to cherry pick all the best students for their full-time jobs afterwards. But those students will graduate from this program with a comprehensive resume. At the end of there, that's where we're looking to make what's called a vertiport, where these battery electric aircraft can take off and land vertically and charge. So this is right there. That's the fire department. So right next to the fire department at the eastern end of this building would be the eVTOL station, and this would be where they take off and land from. And that's the MD-80 ramp, by the way, where that picture was of Ken Baring's plane. That was parked right here. Yes. So the idea is that, here are the 2 runways, and the vertiport would be a third parallel approach. So in times of inclement weather, like all the aircraft would share the same approach to the main runway and then break off when they get below the cloud deck. A lot of that's being worked out, but mostly it's sharing the same plane. The FAA is not really set up to have aircraft, thousands and thousands of aircraft going from everywhere to everywhere. So they like lanes. And there's lanes that help aircraft find this runway. So I think the current plan, and there's a lot of NASA studies going on to make some more complicated plans, but the current plan is to share that and then split off at the end, right? And so that's why airports are an integral part of the initial launch of this, but eventually any parking garage can be a launch point, right? But parking garage to parking garage is going to overwhelm the current ATC system, right? So airport to airport is much easier for them, right? Here's the water treatment plant. And this is the area for the hydrogen production facility. This box is much bigger actually than what it is. These electrolysis units are actually relatively small. We're talking maybe a pair of 40-foot containers on a pad, but there's extra space there for trucks to be able to come in, buses to be able to come in. One of the really neat things about this spot here at the Livermore Airport for pioneering some of this hydrogen technologies is, well, lots of neat things. Number one, we're in the shadow of 2 national labs that both have significant expertise in hydrogen. And we have the demographic that supports hiring people for those kinds of R&D jobs. But
the off-takers are right here too. So, you know, we have the feedstock coming from the water plant and solar panels, and then we have off-takers, not only here with companies like ZeroAvia that will use it here on the airport, but Gillig Bus Company, who's developing a hydrogen fuel cell bus, has already committed to buying all their hydrogen from right across the street. They're like, fantastic, saves us the trouble of trying to figure that out. Day after tomorrow, I'm meeting with LAVDA, the Wheels Bus agency, because their current lot is right here. They want to build a new lot down here next to just below Gillig, and they want to convert entirely to hydrogen. And they were trying to figure out how they're going to source their hydrogen. And originally, they were thinking that they'll build their own electrolysis plant, and now they're like, yeah, not such a great idea. Can we buy it from you? So up here in the corner, we got Isabel and 580. That's where Valley Link is going to have their last station before it touches BART. They were originally planning on producing their hydrogen in Tracy and then trucking it over to Mountain House to put it on the train. And they're like, oh, this sounds like a way better idea. We could just pipeline it straight there and use it there. Diesel generators. We talked about resiliency at the airport. We have I've got a generator to run the fuel pumps. The airport's got a generator to run the lights. The air traffic control tower's got a really weak generator that can't even run the air traffic control tower, but they got one. The fire department's got a generator. And then of course, the water treatment plant's got a generator that's bigger than a locomotive. All of these are diesel. All of them have to be exercised. All of them are polluting, and they're loud. And we could replace all of them with hydrogen fuel cell generators that are silent and non-polluting, and so much more cost effective. So the idea is that we're creating this microgrid with solar panels in every nook and cranny. We can feed power back to the airport so that we can run and do all of that disaster support in the event of grid failures. And then here's like the coolest part of it, right? This is and I've been working on some of these agencies for about a decade, and they all kind of matured around the same time. And I was like, wow, it would have been nice to stagger it a little bit, but we're thrilled to have them. So East Bay Regional Parks, they're moving here actually within a few weeks. They're moving here at the end of April, beginning of May from Hayward, finally. They have 2 helicopters, and they're likely to have a 3rd helicopter. Their helicopters are always first on scene to fight fires in our area because CAL FIRE is so far away. Then actually go to the next slide. There's the college hangar. Go another one. All right, here. This is a map of CAL FIRE bases in California. I know it's hard to read and all of that, but these circles are the range of the aircraft at those bases. And most of California is under more than one circle. In fact, some bases are under the circles of other bases. Over here, you see there's no circles. That's because they're covered by federal bases on the Nevada side. We are the only spot in California that is 60 miles away from the nearest base. When CAL FIRE came and helped us put out the fires in Shadow Cliffs and Altamont last summer, they were coming from Hollister. 120-mile round trips to fuel up with fuel and retardant and come dump it and go back to Hollister and reload. So East Bay Parks was taking water out of Shadow Cliffs and fighting it as best they could with the helicopter, but the airplanes had to come from 120 miles away. We are the only spot in California, only square inch in California that's that far away. Yet, and it's not great on this map. They have another map that is a fire hazard map. These hills here are the densest fire danger in the whole state. And we've seen that just a few years ago when they were all ablaze and we were evacuating the southern parts of the city, the northern, the unincorporated parts were being evacuated. And the city of Livermore had been on standby for evacuating the southern parts of Livermore. Here are the 4 closest bases, and Hollister is the closest one. So We're thrilled that East Bay Parks is bringing their
Just
resources
so you
here.
know, we're right at closure, but.
All right.
It's fascinating. I wish you could talk for another half. hour,
Right.
But
We're-
we gotta close up.
All right, I'm happy to answer questions. CAL FIRE is going to move a helicopter here from where the Lexington Reservoir, and we're hoping to actually get an airplane based here. This is the only unit in CAL FIRE, that Santa Clara unit, that doesn't have an aircraft. And then CHP is moving here from Napa. They're bringing their air unit, but they're also bringing a canine unit, a commercial unit, and a 100-person training facility, because the Golden Gate District is going to Cordelia for that. So all of these resources will be here in our community. So we're getting state, regional, local resources being reallocated to our neighborhoods. And that's the kind of aviation use that the FAA will be happy with, and the community could be proud of, and be appreciative of, that we have these facilities and these resources at our local airport. I could talk for that.
You were awesome, man. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sure Pete, you can maybe hang out a little bit if anybody has any questions. Sorry, we ran out of time, but that's fascinating. It's just all positive for our region. So thank you for being here, and appreciate your talk. So let's wrap things up. Let's move to the opportunity drawing, and I think we have a whopping $38. Bill Burke's back, so he's ready to go. I see he's got his tickets out there. And the chief's not here. Yeah, exactly. Okay, Bill, are you ready? 4228. Oh, Julio. All right. Okay. Hold on 1 second. He was a loser. Okay. All right.
He didn't win.
He didn't win. Okay. Okay. 4224. 4224. Back on one more try.
So besides Monday being April Fool's Day, April the 1st, this weekend's kind of a special weekend. It happens to be Easter. And if you, oh, he won. Congratulations. Congratulations. If you don't have a church home and you're looking for someplace to go on Easter, and that's a tradition of yours, please see me. I'd love to have you join me at my church, Blue Oaks, here in Pleasanton. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Good. You all probably wondering why I'm dressed up with A stuff. You know, today is what important day? Opening day. And Mike's back there. So who do you think should win best costume? I mean, he's always Mike. Oh, you think because Giants fans, A's fans? Okay. All right, Mike, you win. I'll let you have it. So, nothing really. Just bragging rights. Right. Well, thank you all for coming. What a great turnout today. We're going to try to be over here from now on every time we meet. So thank you, and we are adjourned.